The Shocking End. Corrupt Cop's Career Catastrophes. The Shocking End. Corrupt Cop's Career Catastrophes explores the disconcerting realm of police corruption, uncovering the catastrophic outcomes that ensue when individuals entrusted with the preservation of justice betray the confidence of the public by means of an engrossing examination of actual incidents. This documentary unveils the disconcerting actuality that misconduct is prevalent within law enforcement organizations. The film illuminates the profound consequences that corrupt law enforcement officers inflict upon communities and individuals, including unlawful arrests and abuses of authority. Please join us as we reveal the truth regarding the corrupt officers' downfall and the critical need for criminal justice system reform and accountability. Listed below are some historically corrupt police officers. 1. Rafael Perez, a former officer of the Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, gained notoriety for his participation in the Rampart controversy, which stands as one of the most consequential instances of police corruption in the United States. Perez, who was born on October 29, 1967, commenced his tenure with the Los Angeles Police Department in 1989. At first glance, he appeared to be an enthusiastic and future-focused officer. Later in the 1990s, Perez's career was severely marred by an affair with corruption that arose within the Rampart division of the Los Angeles Police Department. The Rampart scandal was exposed in 1999 following the arrest of Perez on suspicion of stealing cocaine from evidence containers. Perez began to cooperate with investigators and divulge startling information regarding pervasive corruption and misconduct within the Los Angeles Police Department during his interrogation. A multitude of offenses were confessed to by Perez, including drug trafficking, tampering with evidence, planting false evidence, perjury, and unjustified shootings, associating himself and a multitude of other officers with a variety of unlawful undertakings. He exposed systemic corruption within Courage, community resources against street hoodlums, the anti-gang unit of the Los Angeles Police Department. His participation in the framing of innocent individuals, the fabrication of evidence to secure convictions, and the unjustified use of lethal force were among the most egregious offenses associated with Perez. The LAPD was profoundly shaken by Perez's revelations, which resulted in the dismissal of over 100 criminal cases that were compromised by his misconduct. The Rampart scandal incited extensive public indignation and undermined confidence in the Los Angeles Police Department, thereby instigating demands for regulatory changes and increased supervision. A federal consent decree was issued to the Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, in response to the scandal's repercussions. It mandated extensive reforms to address issues of excessive force, racial bias, and corruption. Perez was discharged from prison in 2000, and one subsequent to serving a reduced sentence as a condition of his cooperation. Nonetheless, his deeds severely damaged the standing of the Los Angeles Police Department and permanently marred its historical record. The Rampart scandal continues to serve as a cautionary tale regarding the perils of unchecked authority and the criticality of law enforcement accountability and transparency. 2. Stephen Caracappa and Louis Eppolito. Stephen Caracappa and Louis Eppolito, former detectives of the New York City Police Department, NYPD, became entangled in one of the department's most infamous instances of police malfeasance. Individuals who were born in 1948 and 1943, respectively, they commenced their professional lives as detectives for the New York Police Department, NYPD, prior to a significant decline in their careers. Eppolito and Caracappa, in conjunction with the influential mafia organization, the Lucchese crime family, participated in a succession of illicit undertakings during the 1980s and 1990s. These activities comprised acting as assassins, providing mobsters with confidential intelligence, and performing contract killings. Notably, Nicholas Guido was abducted and put to death under the mistaken belief that he was a police informant. Preceding the revelation of evidence in the late 1990s, their malfeasance remained concealed behind their positions of authority. They were given life sentences in 2006 after being convicted on charges of racketeering, conspiracy to commit homicide, and obstruction of justice. This put an end to their reign of terror within the New York Police Department. Their case highlights the severe repercussions of fraudulent law enforcement and the adverse effects it has on the fabric of society. 3. Mr. John Burge. During the 1970s and 1980s, John Burge, a former detective with the Chicago Police Department, gained notoriety for his participation in the systematic torture of suspects in order to obtain confessions. Burge, who was born in 1947, commenced his tenure with the Chicago Police Department in 1970 and rose rapidly through the levels to attain the rank of detective. His interrogation techniques, nevertheless, were characterized by brutality and coercion. To coerce confessions from suspects, specifically African American males, Burge and his subordinates were accused of employing methods including suffocation, electric shock, and physical abuse. The individuals who were subjected to his torment suffered from profound psychological distress, and a number of them made fraudulent confessions regarding offenses they had not committed. In spite of facing a multitude of complaints and litigation, Burge maintained his position for an extended period of time, protected by a departmental code of silence. His dismissal from the force occurred in 1993, subsequent to an inquiry into the accusations of torture. John Burge was found guilty of perjury and obstruction of justice in 2010 on charges that he provided false information regarding his participation in the torture scandal. In addition to infringing upon the rights of an incalculable number of people, his conduct undermined confidence in law enforcement and brought to light the systemic prejudice that exists within the criminal justice system. 4. Michael Dowd, a former officer of the New York City Police Department, NYPD, was implicated in a scandalous instance of police misconduct that occurred between the late 1980s and early 1990s. Dowd's involvement in drug trafficking and corruption stands as one of the most startling instances in the department's chronicles. Dowd, who was born in 1961, initially enlisted in the New York Police Department with the intention of maintaining the rule of law and contributing to the betterment of his community. Nevertheless, his aspirations were derailed when he yielded to the allure of unethical practices and corrupt practices. Dowd initiated his participation in drug trafficking through the establishment of alliances with drug traffickers in Brooklyn, wherein he traded monetary gain in exchange for protection and insider information. By virtue of his police officer rank, he enabled illicit drug transactions, provided protection to offenders, and obscured unlawful undertakings. Dowd's substantial level of corruption came to light in 1992, when he was apprehended and formally accused of drug trafficking, racketeering, and conspiracy. The arrest induced widespread indignation among the public and reverberated throughout the New York Police Department due to the sworn officer of the law's breach of confidence. The Dowd case brought attention to the widespread corruption prevalent in law enforcement and prompted inquiries into the efficacy of police department supervision and accountability. His demise was a poignant illustration of the perils associated with police misconduct and the criticality of upholding integrity and ethics within the field of law enforcement. 5. Fitzsimmons. The drug trade involvement of Fitzsimmons astounded both his peers and the community. Stakeholder in the law enforcement community, his conduct not only betrayed the confidence of the general public, but also eroded the NYPD's reputation for integrity. The department's standing was severely damaged, and public trust in the police force was undermined as a result of Fitzsimmons' collaboration in unlawful operations. The ramifications of Fitzsimmons' deeds transcended the boundaries of his professional trajectory. His participation in the narcotics conspiracy brought to light systemic problems, such as misconduct and corruption within law enforcement. The aforementioned incident prompted inquiries regarding the efficacy of accountability and supervision protocols implemented by the NYPD, while also emphasizing the perils associated with officers exploiting their power for personal benefit. The conviction of Fitzsimmons served as a poignant reminder of the criticality of upholding ethical principles and the rule of law in the conduct of law enforcement. His demise reverberated throughout the New York Police Department and incited demands for organizational restructuring to avert analogous occurrences in the future. Following the arrest and conviction of Fitzsimmons, the New York Police Department, NYPD, instituted more stringent protocols and supervision mechanisms in an effort to eradicate corruption and misconduct from its ranks. This case functioned as a didactic anecdote, emphasizing the repercussions that can ensue when law enforcement personnel partake in unlawful conduct and the imperative for strong protocols to maintain honesty and responsibility in the field of enforcement. The persistence of the difficulties in combating corruption and preserving public confidence in law enforcement agencies is illustrated by the Fitzsimmons case. Thank you for joining us on this eye-opening journey through the world of police corruption, the shocking end. Corrupt Cop's Career Catastrophes has shed light on the devastating consequences that arise when those entrusted with upholding justice betray the public trust. From Rafael Perez's involvement in the Rampart scandal to the heinous crimes committed by Luis Ippolito and Stephen Caracappa, these stories serve as stark reminders of the dangers of unchecked power and the urgent need for accountability and reform within law enforcement agencies. As we reflect on the cases presented in this documentary, it becomes evident that corruption within the police force not only undermines the integrity of the criminal justice system, but also erodes public trust and jeopardizes the safety of communities. The actions of corrupt officers have far-reaching consequences, leaving a lasting impact on individuals and society as a whole. Moving forward, it is imperative that we continue to advocate for transparency, accountability, and ethical conduct within law enforcement. By holding corrupt officers accountable for their actions and implementing robust oversight mechanisms, we can strive towards a more just and equitable society. Together, let us work towards building a future where integrity and trust are the cornerstones of our criminal justice system. Thank you for watching. Would you like it? Hit the like button and subscribe to our channels for more interesting and informative videos.